Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari
Gopi Jan Baba Girivardhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
Yasodhananda Braja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Janarandana
Yasodhananda Braja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana
Yamuna Tiravanachari
Yamuna Tiravanachari
Yamuna Tiravanachari
Yamuna Tiravanachari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jai Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari
Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari
Jaya Goranitai Jai Goranitai Goranitai Jaya Goranitai
Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai
Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe
Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe
Jaya Radha Radha Kanta Radha Radha Kanta Radhe
Jaya Radha Radha Kanta Radha Radha Kanta Radhe
Jai Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
Oh Guru Deva Guru Deva Guru Dev Jaya Guru Dev
Gurudev Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev
Jai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
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 Narayanam Namaskar Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayam Mudiraye
Tato Jaya Mudiraye
Rantraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki
Jaya.
We're reading from the second canto, 6th chapter, text number 7 today. It's 7 on the board.
Yes, Prabhu.
Vikramo
Vikramo
Bhur Bhuvaha
Bhuvaha
Swascha
Swascha
Vikramo Bhur Bhuva Swascha
Vikramo Bhurbhuva Swascha
Shemasha
Shemascha
Saranasha
Saranasya
Cha
Cha
Shemasha Saranasha Cha
Shemasya Saranasya Cha
Sarva
Sarva
Kama
Kama
Varashyapi
Varashapi
Sarva Kama Varashyapi
Sarva Kama Varasapi
Hare
Hare
Charana
Charana
Aspadam
Aspadam
Haresh Charana Aspadam
Harish Charana Aspadam
Vikramo Bhurabhuva Swascha
Vikrama Bhurbhuva Swascha
Shemasha Saranasya Cha
Semasya Saranasya Cha
Sarvakama Varashyapi
Sarva Kama Varasapi
Haresh Charana Aspadam
Harish Charana Aspadam
Vikramo Bhurabhuva Swascha
Vikrama Bhurbhuva Swascha
Shemasha Saranasya Cha
Semasya Saranasya Cha
Sarvakama Varashyapi
Sarva Kama Varasapi
Haresh Charana Aspadam
Harish Charana Aspadam Vikrama Bhurbhuva Swascha
Vikramo Bhurabhuva Swascha
Shemasya Saranasya Cha
Shemasya Saranasya Cha
Sarva Kama Varasyapi
Sarvakama Varashyapi
Harish Charana Aspadam
Haresh Charana Aspadam Vikramo Bhurabhuva Swascha
Shemasya Saranasya Cha Sarva Kama Varasyapi Harish Charana Aspadam Vikrama Bhurbhuva Swascha Shemasya Saranasya Cha Sarva Kama Varasyapi Harish Charana Aspadam
Vikramaha
Vikramaha
Forward steps
Forward steps
Bhubhuvaha
Bhubhuvaha
of the lower and upper planet
of the lower and upper planets
Swaha
Swaha
as well as of heaven
as well as of heaven
Cha
Cha
also
also
Shemasha
also
of protection
of protection
of all that we have
of all that we have
Saranasya
Nasha
of fearlessness
fearlessness
Cha
Cha
also
also
Sarvakama
Sarva Kama
all that we need
all that we
Parasya
Varasya
Varasya
Varasa
of all benedictions
of all benedictions
Api
Api
exactly
exactly
Hare
Hare
of the Lord
of the Lord
Charanaha
Charanaha
the lotus feet
the lotus feet
Aspadam
Ashpadam
shelter
shelter
Translation please repeat thus the forward steps of the Lord,
This is the forward steps of the Lord,
or the shelter for the upper, lower, and heavenly planets,
are the shelter for the upper, lower, and heavenly planets,
as well as for all that we need.
as well as for all that we need.
His lotus feet
His lotus feet
serve as protection
serve as protection
from all kinds of fear.
from all kinds of fear.
Thus the forward steps of the Lord are the shelter of the upper, lower, and heavenly planets, as well as for all that we need. His lotus feet serve as protection from all kinds of fear. Srila Prabhupada's divine purport.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
For absolute protection from all sorts of fear, as well as for all our needs of life. We must take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, not only in this planet, but in all the upper, lower, and heavenly planets. This absolute dependence on the lotus feet of the Lord is called pure devotional service. And it is directly hinted at within this passage. No one should have any kind of doubt in this matter, nor should one be inclined to seek the help of any other demigod, because all of them are dependent on Him only. Everyone except the Lord Himself is dependent on the mercy of the Lord. Even the all-pervading super soul is also dependent on the supreme aspect of Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead.
Jai.
Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport to the 7th verse, 6th chapter, Purusha Shukta confirmed, 2nd canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Om Agnati Mirandasya Ginanjana Shilakaya Kakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saharna Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Prajana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lavita Shri Visakam Vitam Cha Hey Krishna Karana Sindho Dinabandho Jagapate Gopeshta Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gurangi Radhe Vedamane Swari Trishabhanustuti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpya Truvyascha Kripa Sindhu Cha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. God, this is such a wonderful verse because in this material world there's always some sort of paranoia or fear going on. And when we hear verses like this, then we can realize the importance of taking shelter of the Lord, and it doesn't seem so mediocre, but that's not a good word. Mediocre doesn't seem to be not enough. When we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, doesn't seem like, it's not a lot of work in the eyes of some people. It's just singing and dancing, like the old story of the cricket that just played the musical instrument and enjoyed himself singing and dancing while the ants worked very hard. And then winter came and the cricket was freezing to death and went to the ants for help. But the ants said, "You just sang and danced all summer long, and now you're coming here begging us for some shelter." So sometimes people may think like that. We're just chanting this Hare Krishna. Nobody really pays you for doing that. Maybe, if you follow the regulative principles, the devotees let you stay in the temple and give you a little prasadam. But, where do we see that, for the benefit of the world, for your own benefit? What are you going to do when you get old? What if you get disease and you can't chant? And, the devotees can't take care of you. Then what? You haven't paid anything into Social Security. Where are you going to go? Who's to say your family will take you back? So, people may think like that. But in reality, this is taking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. This is how Lord Chaitanya taught us to take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. And Srila Prabhupada, too, is his viceroy, or his representative in line of disciplic succession. Even all of them, Bhaktisiddhanta, when Chandra Bose came to him looking for some help for the revolutionary movement in India, he wanted Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj to offer some disciples for this valuable political work. But Bhaktisiddhanta didn't argue with him. He just gave a reason, a good reason. These brahmacharis, or these brahmanas, they're skinny and austere. And what value will they be to your type of work? And so Subhash Chandra Bose, he didn't bother him. But they were doing most valuable work. They were going out and preaching and teaching the value of chanting the holy name of Krishna. And this is how we can take Krishna's shelter in the age of Kali. In the age of Kali, Krishna makes it very simple to have the shelter of his lotus feet. We just have to take shelter of his name. And anyone doing that, then they can receive that shelter. And it's that shelter that protects us from all sorts of paranoia and fear and all the things that perplex and bother us in this age of Kali. When things are very difficult, we may even become perplexed figuring out how we're going to solve the problem. But just by taking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, everything can be automatically taken care of. And no problem for Krishna. Not that we use Krishna just as a problem solver, but it's how we ourselves can become free from fear. There shouldn't be any fear for the soul. But the soul ourselves, we have practical experience of it. We're covered by a material body. So that material body is always giving off so many kinds of emotions and feelings, and fear is one of them. When it feels threatened, it puts out fear. Like, you're home alone, or you're someplace where you least expect to bump into somebody. Maybe at night you turn the corner and wow, there's somebody there, and you jump back and out of fright. But it turns out just to be a friend who laughs, scared you, so it's like that in this material world. But the devotee who's taking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, then he can become fearless. Not that we'll become as powerful and strong as Prahlad Maharaj, who could be, tortured watch it to death, but saved by Krishna and never forget Krishna. Or Sukadeva Goswami, who could wander around naked, not bothered by the heat or the cold, didn't really care if people mocked him and did ill to him because of his nudeness and his aloofness from the ordinary world. No, we may not be like that, but devotee will be content and self-satisfied and know that Krishna's holy name can protect one from everything. That there is no fear in this world, because this world simply pertains to our bodily situation. As soon as the body's finished, for us the world is finished. And for even the world itself, one day it will be all wound up and absorbed back into Mahavishnu. So, for the devotee, it's not the most important thing, our worldly needs. Those we are confident that Krishna will take care of them. He'll provide all we need to eat. The example given is how Krishna provides all the other creatures to eat. And Krishna provides them with shelter. It may not be very sophisticated, but they all make their nest or borrow out some hole to live in. They always find some place, something to eat. So eating, sleeping, mating, defending themselves, it's not a big deal. Krishna provides the intelligence, and he gives every creature its food. And he teaches them how to construct a home. They don't go to school for it. They may learn something from their parents, but otherwise it's intuition. You know, it's the super soul in their heart communicating with the soul, what to do in that particular body. You know, so they can go about their life. They don't have to take defense courses or have big weapons, but they automatically know what to do when threatened. You know, they can take care of themselves to the best of their ability. So, a human being, we may suffer from anxiety and fear and paranoia, but and people may try to actually give some sort of medicine that supposedly helps the brain to put out the right hormones to counteract it. But you know, they haven't been so successful because there's rampant mental illness all over the world. So if they were so successful, people would be becoming cured. But we see people, they're just as fearful as ever. People in just as much anxiety, maybe more than ever before. And, you know, there's always some sort of paranoia. You know, we're going to lose our money. The economy's going to bottom out. You know, we will be left stranded. So people, you know, they're not becoming free from the difficulties of life. You know, and what does the medicine do? All it does is cover it over, even if the hormones are right, to make the brain think that there is no reason to fear. Then what if it happens? If the medicine probably won't be able to even put out enough hormones if it happens to stop the anxiety that people feel. What will they do? They'll become big fools. They'll just think, so what? And what will they do to help themselves? So, you know, medical science without Krishna provides one solution. Medical science with Krishna provides another solution. You know, it gives people the stamina to take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet as the ultimate shelter. So people will, you know, so they won't be so disturbed that they can't even chant by, you know, taking what's necessary, like, you have an earache, you can't even chant, you take some ear medicine, and, it mitigates the pain and you can go about your chanting. Or somebody's feeling some mental, illness, and, they give them, some drugs to mitigate that. They're seeing visions and hearing voices, but they take their medicine and now they can chant because they're not bothered by seeing so many crazy things and hearing so many ludicrous things. So, medicine taken in God consciousness can be uplifting. But, medicine taken without any God consciousness, what good will it do when one's not conscious of the person behind everything, the person behind the scenes? We could even go back to a simple movie like The Wizard of Oz. She's trying to leave that place and get back home, but she can't. And she has to meet the person who's made all the arrangements. It's almost like he's synonymous to God. Now in the movie, he turns out not to be very godly or all-powerful and omnipotent. But there is a God who is all-powerful and omnipotent. And that's the real thing that's missing in people's lives. And the real struggle is to, reconnect with Him, whether one calls oneself a Muslim or a Buddhist or a Christian, whatever the religion may be. The idea is to link up with God again. And, that becomes our safety net, so to speak. We know that God can take care of it all. It's all His arrangement. It's He who is the director and the person who we're playing this role ultimately to please. He's the director and we're simply the actor. We're the energy and He's the energetic. He's the source of all the energy, and the energy is trying to cooperate according to His directions. And simply by playing our role correctly, pleasing the director, then, life becomes harmonious and ultimately satisfying, and one moves on to bigger and better parts, so to speak, and Krishna's service. All the way up to Vaikuntha, where the beings have these wonderful four-armed forms, just like Vishnu, and they can travel simply, beyond the speed of the mind, and their desires are automatically fulfilled, if not by their own prowess, then by the power of the wish-fulfilling trees and the Chintamani surface of the globe. Everything is made of Chintamani. So everyone is always fulfilled in such a place. The beings are extremely unusual in the sense that their characteristics and their features, their bodies, are completely beyond what we can even estimate. We think, a Brahma with 4 heads or a Brahma with 1,000 or 1,000,000 heads is great. Whereas beings in Vaikuntha can have trillions of heads. Who can understand these things? And we can't, because, we're conditioned by our experiences in this life and other conditioned lives, and to imagine something beyond is a sort of science fiction that is a sort of alternative reality, and the only reality being that maybe we can sell the story. Otherwise, it is just imagination. But no, Vaikuntha is there, and its glory is there. And then beyond that, we see that the Krishna Loka, Krishna's opulence in Dwarka and Mathura exceeds that. Krishna enjoys as a single prince, and Krishna enjoys as a married prince. But beyond all of this, we see that Dwarkadish, he becomes Jagannath. As we know him, and Jagannath that feature is just Dwarkadish in ecstatic trance. Simply he is like the greatest yogi or the greatest devotee in one sense, because when he hears his Vrindavan Leela, his ecstatic trance knows no bounds. It's only comparable to Lord Chaitanya exhibiting it here on earth. But in reality, you can understand how the Lord's arms go within, and his limbs go within, and his eyes become huge, and his lips light up with a huge smile, and his face is bright like that. Who can understand? But Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra all fell into this trance just overhearing his very own Vrindavan pastime. So even himself as Dwarkadish falls into samadhi or ecstasy. So the greatest opulence beyond anything imaginable in this world. We can just, Prabhupada said, the pictures that his devotees painted were like windows to the spiritual world. So we can look within. We see the pastime of Krishna running along the bank of the Yamuna with the cowherd boys and the cows. And no longer does a raging river or a huge river become frightening. You worry about falling in. Even Narottam's own daughter, drowned in the Ganga. So it can be frightful because we don't have the power to navigate it or to cross it, or to, if it decides to take us, we may not be prepared for that. So, but in Krishna Loka, the river Yamuna is the friend of all the devotees, and no one has any fear. Even in Lord Chaitanya's Leela here on earth, him and his students, they enjoy playing in the water so much. And Lord Chaitanya was the best swimmer. Nobody could outswim him. He would disturb the older boys and the Brahmins, the people taking baths, and people would try to arrest him. But it wasn't possible to catch him because he was the best swimmer. So the river becomes everyone's friend. Whereas now we worry about the pollution. They've been dumping industrial waste. There's sometimes sanitation going into it. There's so many things that people worry about because of what humanity has done to it. It's a big offense. Even in India today, the president is trying to clean it up because it's a big offense. How dare we pollute the river like that? You're not even supposed to evacuate in it. And yet, they're doing all this to it. It's a universal crime, practically speaking. And so, we wonder why Kali Yuga is so bad. But we humans have committed so many offenses, not to even mention, the slaughter of Krishna's cows. So how is it possible to mitigate any of this? It's only by the power of the Lord's movement. We're so fortunate. We can take shelter of chanting the holy name, but our ambition is not just material prosperity, or not that we don't have any fear of losing whatever wealth and shelter that we have. These things we have no worry about. Like the animals have no worry. They just find some shelter. We never see Chitraketu's dog in anxiety. She just becomes ferocious when she sees her prey. But that's a natural instinct. Because every creature has their food. So she chases her food, But other than that, she's generally not in very much anxiety. So it's not that we're worried about material things. Our anxiety is Lord Chaitanya's movement. The earth is in such corrupt and decrepit, bad condition. And only Lord Chaitanya's movement can help it. Prabhupada felt that urgency like a house burning down. The world is burning up. We don't have to wait for World War III. They're, putting themselves in misery every day because, everything is being misled by an animal-killing civilization. And so how in the world can it be changed. So when we chant Hare Krishna, that sacrifice is not just for our own little petty needs. It's for the needs of the whole world. And what else could we do? How could we stand up to it all and do anything significant? Nobody will vote for us if we run for election, and the elected officials aren't going to listen to us, and hardly anybody changes their diet even, although it is a fact that we certainly are making some headway there. But even Krishna tricks them to change their diet for other reasons, whether it be health or ethical reasons. They change, and they have an opportunity to eat food that could be offered to Krishna. Then it becomes just a matter of learning how to offer that food to God. So, how in the world can we have any influence? But by chanting Hare Krishna, especially in public. It's amazing what can happen. We can't estimate, just like we can't estimate Vrindavan. We don't have no experience of it. So we may not have any experience of having a tremendous influence in the world. So we can't calculate it or understand it. How am I going to be anything significant? But when we chant Hare Krishna, that sacrifice is changing the world. The devotees are changing the world. The fires are burning up California. So the devotees should go out and perform Harinam. Of course, that's easy to say. They're working very hard. They're our biggest book distributors, all the devotees in California. So, I'm not saying that they're just sitting in the temples. The Prabhupada would say like that when there was drought. Oh, go out and chant Hare Krishna. Krishna will make the rain. So, they have drought there, and it causes fires because everything's so dry. It just takes a little friction for a fire to start. And so the devotees can go out and chant and help mitigate this problem. People will practically see that, the chanting will bring the rain. Or, in other natural disasters, the chanting can, help us to overcome the serious flooding that's occurring along the Mississippi River. We may wonder how. Maybe people, will get intelligence to build in more appropriate places. We take over the earth, try to exploit all of its beauty, and have people, create developments where they can make plenty of money, and then along comes the 20-year flood or the 100-year flood, and people were, they lose everything. So, but these things can be taken care of even by following our God-given intelligence. So Krishna can take care of everything, working very easily through his devotees. Not that he has to come and do something personally, just like Prabhupada used to say, Krishna doesn't need to kill these demons. He can have a germ kill them. Just bacteria, a virus, can kill people. So it's not that Krishna needs to come and personally slay any big demons. He can simply make arrangements. His external energy can make the arrangements. No one can escape, Durga's control. She has them all locked up. And so it's not like they're not paying for their sins. That's the problem. Humanity's paying for its sins. But if we chant Hare Krishna, then our sins the reactions will be mitigated, and people will become pious. And, things will change by the grace of the Lord. Durga will be pleased. Mother Bhumi will be pleased. She'll give, proper nourishment to people. And, the storms of Indra and the winds of Varuna, will become more complementary to the needs of human beings on earth. But, people, they don't believe all this stuff, they think they need to figure it out and change it some other type of way, you know. But, you know, it's like not having faith in people. You know, the politicians want people to have faith in them, you know, that they're going to get the job done. We have to have faith that there's bigger people than us, than human beings. Where did human beings come from? They try to come up with this crazy evolutionary theory, you know, but, you know, we have to conclude that we come from people, from other persons. So ultimately we're all coming from, you know, the Devas, and ultimately from the Deva, the Supreme God. Everything's coming from the Supreme God. It's all ultimately personal. It's not some primitive philosophy that simply tries to animate nature. No, you know, nature is by its own characteristics animated, and, you know, full of life. You know, all the creatures are full of life. It's not that they're soulless, like some people would try to have us believe. Oh, the insects are soulless. It doesn't matter that we spray them to death. We spray poison everywhere, and, you know, it gets on our food and, you know, in our lungs even. So no, there's life everywhere. And it's, you know, it's Krishna who is full of life. So when we start to recognize him, you know, that's what makes us a devotee. You know, the devotees recognize Krishna and the non-devotees don't. So, you know, but they're our brothers and sisters. We have to somehow ever convince them, you know, persuade them through some humble persuasion like Lord Chaitanya taught. Not through demoniac persuasion with harshness and anger, you know, when we convert people, you know, by the force of the sword. It's one thing if the state administers punishment for crimes. You know, it's another thing, you know, to have to be administered punishment simply from our lack of conviction and our lack of faith. And, you know, there's rules and regulations for everyone to follow that makes the world moral. You know, and not everyone will have the necessary faith to be a devotee or to be a high-class devotee. So Lord Chaitanya's method was through humble persuasion, and sometimes just through the might of his spirituality. You know, you meet some devotee who's full of Shakti, and that person, you know, convinces somebody, you know, who otherwise was unconvincible. You know, he couldn't be convinced. You know, because of his dogmatic, atheistic type of views. But comes into contact with a devotee who has a certain type of potency that you know, somehow ever attracts or appeals to that person, and they become convinced, at least to give it a try, and then, you know, Krishna's holy name takes it from there, or Paramatma within the heart takes it from there. So it's Krishna's lotus feet that bring us fearlessness. This verse is pointing out, and, you know, that we should feel strongly about, like Krishna jumping into the river Yamuna to subdue Kaliya. He first pulls his belt tight, so, you know, we can pull our belt tight, so to speak. You know, like a person exhibiting his might and strength. And you know, that we can do that in a spiritual way. That, you know, Krishna is fearless, and by taking shelter of his lotus feet, then our fear and anxieties and whatever it may be all becomes mitigated, because we have faith that, you know, Krishna will protect us and preserve what we have, and, you know, help us through the difficulties of this life. It's not very difficult to him. You know, he's directing everything, and, you know, he'll direct us to a stronger spirituality. That's called vairagya, or spiritual strength. Lord Baladev gives spiritual strength. It's not just material strength where people have muscles and strong, determined minds. But it's a spiritual strength where we have faith in Krishna and Krishna's protection. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yes, Tika Prabhu.
Two quick comments, Prabhuji. Lord Jagannath is, the mood of Lord Jagannath is, he is Krishna in separation of Radharani. And Lord Chaitanya is opposite, like he is Radharani in mood of separation from Krishna.
Yeah, but because he's Krishna also,
He's Krishna
he's
also.
in Radharani's mood, so when he's in the mood of Krishna, then he can sit on the asana of Vishnu, and sometimes he'll walk around exhibiting the strength of Balaram. But then he may change at any moment.
Yeah.
So people sometimes they would think he's mad.
Yeah.
But no, it was just spiritual ecstasy, because he'll suddenly think like Radharani. Where is my Krishna? Krishna had, he has. I'm so unfortunate, I don't have him, and he'll just enter into, ecstasies, beyond us, exhibiting the mood and mentality of Radharani.
And sometimes he manifests as Nrisinghadev or Varaha also.
Amazing.
Those all kinds.
Yeah, and because he's Krishna himself.
And the other comment was.
But also about Jagannath, though. Jagannath, he's feeling separation from Radharani. That's what the Ratha is about, taking him from Kurukshetra, back to Vrindavan.
Yeah.
So what was the other comment?
Other comment was this movie Wizard of Oz.
What is it?
The movie you mentioned, The Wizard of Oz.
Oh yeah.
So Dorothy, if we say that Dorothy is like a jiva, and Kansas is like the spiritual world, and then her journey was she went to a material world, but then she always wanted to go back to spiritual world and the material world. And in the movie, that journey is also a dream, So in a way,
this is a dream too, because the spirit soul is beyond it all. But it's very difficult when you're trapped by a dream to feel completely beyond it all. Yeah, Ati Sundari.
Just a little bit what you were talking about earlier, the power of the mantra. And, mental illness and stuff like that. Well, I suffered all my life with mental illness, severe depression, severe anxiety. Some days I would sleep 16, 17 hours a day. No amount of medicine ever helped me. Hospitalized so many times. Nothing.
But the Maha Mantra did, huh?
And I told you I attended that Maha Mantra for almost 3 years. Without really having any other association or other books or anything yet, just the mantra. I just kept repeating the mantra over and over. And then about 3 years ago, I stopped taking all the medication. I just stopped. And it's been almost 2 years now of no anxiety, no depression, no fear. Just completely healed me in a way that nothing ever could.
Wow, that's amazing.
I watched my mother suffer to the point she shot herself in the head.
Krishna.
And, to know that I was spared from that just by the mantra. Just the mantra. That's why I put on my Facebook, just chant Hare Krishna, make you happy.
There's other stories of devotees being healed. One is Mayapur, we discussed yesterday. He was always traumatized because he is a young boy, like 6 years old. He found his mother hanging in the bathroom. So he always felt he was always somewhat traumatized, but the Hare Krishna Mantra and the International Society for Krishna Consciousness and Srila Prabhupada saved him. Another one is our friend Rohita Prabhu, who's taught Janti to milk the cows, trained her up. He milked the cows here from 1976 till 2000. Every day, morning and night, sometimes 8 cows at a time. So Rohita, as a child, was an extremely sickly child. He always wanted to become a veterinarian, so anyway, he ended up with the cows. But he had so many medical problems, some of the biggest ones being he was epileptic. and he had to take medicine for that. So when he went to the temple in Canada, in Vancouver, that's where he joined, eventually he stopped taking the medicine. And he quit having epileptic fits. And he got strong, physically strong, to where he was like, he was like the cows in the sense that he just lived off his property. It wasn't unusual to see Rohita running around the field without his shirt on, just like a doty. Many times in his bare feet, or he would milk, he'd always have these big rubber boots on. And dealing with the heat and the cold and the insects, and just a humble, simple brahmachari. And he'd wake the deities in the morning. You could get Rohita to wake the deities and do the arti, and then he would go off and milk, And so he was like 24/7 always involved in the service of the Lord. Very infrequently he would have an epileptic fit. Extremely infrequently. Like one time I took him to the dentist. He also had he was born like with a dislocated jaw, so his teeth never matched. Okay. And so it made him, look like a person who, and plus he had a lot of dental issues besides that. Mm-hmm. So I took him to the dentist one time. They had a tooth pulled, and when they gave him the tranquilizer, it threw him into an epileptic fit. The dentist freaked out, didn't know what to do. He just called 911. They took Rohita to the hospital in Picayune. It's not located where it was now. Mm-hmm. It's located where there's that big walk around park right in front of the high school there. Oh, okay. So I called up Rohita and I said, "How you doing? What happened?" And he told me, and he said, "I feel all right now, but they want to keep me." So it's like he took 2 days of rest because he would never get sufficient rest. So in the hospital, he just rested for 2 days and then he came home, Anyway, he one time went to see his mother, I think is what he did, or he went to India, but he's a Canadian citizen. So he's only, so to get back into America, you have to be able to, again, cross the border. So they would never let him cross again, because he looked too much like a farm worker. Now, they have immigrants that come across just to do farm work, and they're supposed to have a visa. But he would tell them, "No, I'm a religious worker," but he didn't have a visa. So they wouldn't let him go. He looked like just a farm worker. And so he ended up in the Vancouver temple where he is today. I've been there since 2002, I believe. That's almost 20 years now. He takes care of Tulsi, goes off and chants like 64 rounds a day, just taking long walks. Just again, still a humble brahmachari, about my age. I don't know if he ever had an epileptic fit again, but he was able, because he went back to Canada. He's a Canadian citizen, so he went to the dentist, and they took care of all of his dental problems, because here we never had enough money to pay for it. It's only if he had like an abscess and he had to have a tooth pulled or something. And they did something also even with his lower jaw so that his bite was normal, So,
but he
we'll get to see him again.
But he could not come on like a tourist thing?
He probably could, but they because...
But then he had to go back in 6 months or something.
Flag on his passport.
Okay.
They flagged his passport. So that whenever he would try to cross, they would never trust him. And now he probably doesn't have any interest, or maybe he will have an interest just coming down and visiting sometime. I should write him. Nobody never really communicated with him a whole lot. Just every now and then, he's the one who made that. He knew this land, like everything about it, and even the deeds all about it, how we acquired the land, where the land is, and what its legal description is. He would have all these things like memorized practically, and he's the one who made that three-dimensional thing that Longa Ganesh has in the Katrina room.
Did he get it by himself?
Yeah, just by himself. So he was a very unique devotee. But yet, he was cured by the Mahamantra, because otherwise he didn't have the stamina for the type of life that he lived. He was just a sickly child throughout his whole time before he joined the Hare Krishna movement.
As I became Krishna conscious, I would have people ask me, my friends and stuff, how do you know you're right? With all these religions, how do you know this is it? How do you know that you're not?
You feel it, people.
I'm like, it's done for me what nothing else ever could. It's given me a peace and just curious.
And I guess any of us, if we didn't get anything like that, who would have stayed?
Yeah.
Nobody was paying us to do it,
I walked away from my whole life to follow this, from everybody I knew. To follow this path.
Yeah, am I right?
Yes, I had so many realizations with Srimad Prabhu yesterday. Because we know about these other gurus and other people, but we should find out also a little bit more about what they do. And I was very shocked to hear what they both know a lot about South India, North India, and stuff like that. What is that word he said? I'm trying to remember.
You were asking him about Sadhguru.
No, that is another topic. In North and South, there are some very various differences. One of the things he said, if you cover your head in the South, you are a widow. That's why the South Indians never cover their head, because that comes from, what is that, Vedic? The word he used is like something coming from a parampara system, which is very bona fide.
From the avatars there?
No, that's the word he used. If it comes a Vedic, there are two different types, the North and the South. In the South, it's come, I would have to ask him again. It's like a parampara system, that it's already been there for thousands of years. No one, and all the South Indians know that.
Alvars?
No, that's a word he used, a very popular word, I forgot. That it's already there. In between Vedic and the South Indian something that they don't cover. He can explain it. That's what it was good about it. He says that's why there is two different things. It's not South Indians will not cover their head. It's because that's not their culture, their tradition, their lineage. All that is coming from like long time ago. But North India is different, They picked from them some things, he says, and then they modified it and then they used it like.
Is his family in the lineage of Gopal Bhatta Goswami?
These I don't know, but they know so much stuff. And it makes sense what they're talking about, The stuff they talked about, the woman and period and all that stuff, it's not like they're bad, this and that. She explained it, that one, real nicely. She said, you're vulnerable, your body is vulnerable, and the bhutas are all around, they're still around everywhere. They get hold of this kind of bodies, and then they can manipulate and use, and that's when you're ghostly haunted and stuff like that. And then for the deity part, they explained even detail. They said in that Sabarimala, that one?
Yes.
There is a pujari who sits there, and they pick this pujari for 3 years. He cannot go back, no connection, nothing. Even his mother, child, whatever died, they cannot tell him. For 3 years, he's dedicated. What he does is that all he has to do is chant, and then offer the chant to the deities. And that's how the deities become very powerful. Because this sacrificial thing they do, and they offer. When we chant Hare Krishna mantra and offer, the more you offer these things to the deities, they become very powerful. And this temple is way up on the hill, and most likely the Buddhas are all over there too, because the higher you go, they are also there. That's why they didn't want any ladies to go there, because they can get contaminated halfway. It's not like they don't like the women, it's not against women, but they don't understand these things, And the Christians want to challenge, and now it's in the court. And then one bypassed the court at random, and somebody sprayed her face. But this is all like some reasons here behind, I know that's in the shop. No,